Welcome to the Squared Circle Gridiron. I'll get out in a minute. To my right is Ron, below me is Ricky, and we had football this weekend, gentlemen. I don't know even how to really start this because there's been wild card weekends with wild games, but this might have been the weirdest wild card weekend I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
I don't want to get into the games right away, but just a general observation. I was 50-50 on all my picks, right down the middle. Half right, half wrong. If that's not a wild card weekend, I don't know what is. Ron, how did your picks come out? Were you about the same?
Yeah. About the same.
Ricky, what'd you get there, bud?
I was probably close to that as well. I had the Packers over Dallas. I thought the Packers were going to beat them. I thought Houston was going to beat Cleveland, but not as bad as they did.
There were some things this weekend that really stunned me as a football fan, right? You think you know the NFL, you think you know where everything's going, you think you know where everybody stands, they played enough games, and then you get the debacle in Dallas. And I guess we're going to start off there because that is the shocker of the weekend. I don't know, even if you picked the Packers, Ricky, you couldn't have seen this coming. I don't think anybody could see this coming. It was not close at the half. Dallas scored late garbage touchdowns to make the score closer than it was.
Yep.
They got outclassed, outplayed, and most importantly, outcoached in this game.
100%.
Dak didn't play
Big
well.
time.
And here's where I'm going with this because I'm kind of shocked. How is Mike McCarthy still employed this morning, and how has he not been shown the door already? I will start off with that. And the other news, the defensive coordinator for the Dallas Cowboys has been considered a front runner for many a job the last couple of years, right? He's been considered a front runner for those jobs. That cannot help his cause right now. The defense was just all over the place. They could not stop the big plays. They could not stop the run to save their life.
Nope.
And they just got absolutely thumped. I was embarrassed for Cowboys fans because they've been waiting for 30 years for this, right? 30 years they've been waiting just to get back to the championship game. And this comes out and they get their doors blown off. Ricky, I know you watch them throughout the year because they're in the NFC East, which, by the way, was that not considered a power conference in the NFC this year? Now it's the NFC least. They're all gone. They're all gone.
I'll tell you, first, I'd just like to say I give credit to Green Bay. They had a heck of a game plan, and their coaches must have seen things on film. I didn't know Dallas had that many weaknesses, and Green Bay just exploited them. They punched them in the mouth, not once, not twice, but they kept punching them. And before Dallas knew it, it was 28-0 or whatever the score was, and they just couldn't mount any type of punch back. I give a lot of credit to the Packers for that.
Yeah.
I was very surprised, though. I was very, very, very surprised by that.
Which, by the way, thank you all for joining us. Like and subscribe. We appreciate everybody showing up. Go ahead, Ron. I know you got some for this. I'm not done with this yet. I'm not done with this by a long shot.
I can hear my wife yelling from heaven, man. Just yelling, just cursing. What are you guys doing? And Dak Prescott and CeeDee Lamb, they looked out of sorts almost all the whole game. They're out kiltered. I don't know. I think Ricky said right. They're out coached big time. But McCarthy's known for this.
Yeah.
He had one good Super Bowl year in Green Bay, and then he had these off years, and that's why he got booted. And then LaFleur came in. LaFleur's a hell of a damn coach, man.
Ron, he's had a bad decade in the playoffs. Let's be honest. He's had a bad decade.
Yeah.
Look, this isn't a one-off.
There's no they didn't do anything to stop the run or even the second half to do that. They couldn't figure out Jordan Love. Jordan Love was poised as all hell throwing the ball.
Yep.
No, I mean he was. I thought C.J. Stroud was impressive. Jordan Love was almost as impressive as C.J. Stroud was this weekend. Cowboys just once they got punched, they lay down. They lay down.
I'm not putting all the blame on Dak. I mean, I'm certainly not going to gloat about quarterback play this weekend, especially after what Jalen Hurts did. But I mean, if you're a Cowboys fan and you're watching this guy constantly throw pick six pick sixes. I mean, look, he's a pretty good quarterback. I'm not going to take anything away from the season Dallas had, but man, that is a disappointment. That is just a major disappointment.
But here's the thing.
If they do this every
And
year.
you say this, the season that he had, right? It's the same season they have every year.
It is.
They look really good during the regular season, and when it counts the most, they can never perform in the clutch.
No.
Yeah.
And it's embarrassing. They had it
is.
all on the line. The number 2 seed, looking strong. This might actually be their year. They look like they might be a tough out for the Niners if they were to play them, in 2 weeks. And then they come out here and lay this egg of a game where the entire first half, like you said earlier, Rod, Dak could not find CeeDee Lamb to save his life that entire first half. He had no problem finding Packers. He threw the ball 60 times in this game. That is a recipe for disaster. And the truth is that back end for Dallas has been bad all year. When they lost their number 1 corner, it went to shit. They were covering up a whole lot of that with their pass rush. There was no pass rush in this. Love's a little bit mobile. He's not going to scare anybody as far as Lamar Jackson goes, but he can get out of trouble. He missed 5 passes this whole game. 5 passes he missed.
Crazy.
And the play action was gutting the Dallas Cowboys. And they couldn't stop the run, so they had to sell out to stop it. It was terrible. I couldn't believe what I watched. It was embarrassing. If Jerry Jones keeps McCarthy, he's going to deserve the same outcome next year.
He will.
You're going to
will.
get the same thing.
I think he will, because he's almost loyal to a point. Look how long Jason Garrett lasted with the Cowboys.
I know. I know, and it's ridiculous.
I think he's loyal to a fault. There's some teams that are like built for regular season, but not built for the playoffs. I almost think Dallas is like that kind of team. They just shut down the playoffs, and it shouldn't be too big for them because they've been there.
I never see anything like this game in my life.
Yeah.
They had no sacks. The Dallas Cowboys had no sacks. Dak had to throw the ball 60 times. They got down so bad so early. It was insane.
I think that's the other thing that really caught me too, was they didn't run the ball with Pollard at all.
And the few times he ran pretty good. He did.
No, but they couldn't.
Now when you get down 28 to freaking 7.
It was 27-7 at halftime because they missed that extra point. But I mean, they were running roughshod. Aaron Jones looked like he got stepped in a time machine and stepped back 5 years.
Man.
The quickness was there. He was tearing them apart. He was getting on the perimeter of the run. I don't know what else to say except Dak's got 1 year left on his contract, right?
Yeah.
And I'm not going to rip Dak. This wasn't all on Dak. This was a team loss. This was a team loss. The defense didn't help the offense in the first half and vice versa. The offense couldn't stay on the field. The defense got gas. Yeah. Unbelievable.
I was going to bring that up, actually. You mentioned Dak having 1 year left. What do you think Dallas does with him?
It really depends on next year. You're not going to give him an extension right now, I don't think. That would be foolish.
No, I don't think so. Either.
I think they opened up with a quarterback competition with Trey Lance to see what Trey Lance could do. And then,
oh, God, no. We know what Trey Lance can do. He can throw it in the dirt.
Otherwise, they wasted a 4th-round draft pick on him.
Well, look, the Niners wasted 3 first-round draft picks on him. If he could play, Shanahan would have never sent him out of town. Shanahan saw him for 3 years and said, this is not the guy. He's got all the tools, but he can't put them all together. When you see anybody that saw Trey Lance play his limited action, he threw duck balls every time he tried to throw it deep. It was the ugliest spirals you'd ever see in your life. It made Peyton Manning's duck balls look great. They were so wobbly and bad. It was almost Tim Tebow-esque in how he threw the football and how it went down the field. It just isn't pretty. You can't look at Trey Lance he wasn't even game day active for most of the year. I mean, that's what it is. You can't look internally and say that's going to be the guy if we can't keep Dak Prescott, because Dak's going to get some offers on some good teams if they don't work out a contract. But again, having said that, I don't know how you can give him an extension after that blunder of a playoff game, man. It was just terrible.
And not just this playoff game, the other ones too. There's precedence.
Oh, no, there is. There absolutely is. But it's also with McCarthy. McCarthy can't do it. And if they don't move on from him, I'm gonna leave it on this. If they don't move on from McCarthy, they're gonna get the same results next year.
Yep.
It's just The dude gets out-coached every time people have time to take him apart. And they do. They pick him clean off the bone, just off the bone gone.
Well, I'm sure we'll cover this shortly, but there was another coaching staff coach who got completely out-coached.
Well, you brought it up. Let's talk about it. I mean, that's sort of next on my radar since we start off with the NFC least. I'm not done with Dallas yet, I don't think. But the Tampa Bay demise has not been shown enough of the limelight this year as far as what's happened to that organization. People are sort of skimming over it. It never leads off ESPN. It's always what's going on in Dallas or what's going on with the Niners. They haven't talked about the Eagles much. There is something very wrong with this entire team, from the head coach to the offensive coordinator to the defensive coordinator. It looked terrible. It looked absolutely terrible. I have nothing positive to say about this. With Brown being out, it makes you wonder, just how hurt was he? How hurt was he the final 6 or 7 weeks of the season for him to have to miss a playoff game like that? And,
he wasn't even at the game last night.
He wasn't?
I know.
No,
And
he
Freddie
wasn't.
Roosevelt says, as a Packers fan, they should extend Dak. It's too early to give on him and McCarthy. I don't know, man. The sun's getting late on that team. This isn't a couple of years now. This is almost 5 years, I believe. You're talking half a decade almost now of wasted time and opportunity. Eventually, you've got to pull the plug and say this isn't working. But go ahead. The Tampa Bay game, Baker Mayfield, good Lord.
He found his mojo.
He listen, he's a tough kid. I mean, he made the throws. He scanned the field. He wasn't great. I think actually the Eagles had 4 sacks on him. So the Eagles beat him up a little bit, which I was surprised that they had 4 sacks. But Baker did what he was supposed to do. He saw the field. He threw to different guys. He made a couple really nice throws. And you know what? To be honest, he looked tough last night. He was playing.
You want to know what surprised
energy.
me the most? He was throwing to secondary receivers for most of the night.
Yeah.
He couldn't get it to Evans all night. They had him double teamed all night.
Listen, he
missed him. He had a couple of fingertip missed moments in that game.
Tampa Bay dropped. I mean, I'm just being honest. Tampa Bay should have won by 45 points because they had 5 drops. If that was a better team, like Tampa Bay is an okay team. They're okay. If the Eagles would have played.
They're also one of those we just got in. They just barely got in the playoffs.
If the Eagles would have played a better team, San Fran or whoever, they would have lost by 50 points. That's how bad it was. It was so bad that this Tampa Bay team beat them by whatever it was, 25 or whatever. They should have beat them by 40. They had 5 drop passes. I mean, I could sit here and say the whole podcast how bad it was, how bad of a game. I'll make a long story short. It was the worst football game I have ever seen watch Philadelphia Eagles football.
It was shocking how bad they were to me because I picked them. I thought they would rally. I thought they'd figure it out. Playoff time, let's get it going again. And it just never materialized. Like the running game couldn't do anything last night. Nothing.
And that's what pisses me. I listened to Philly radio today, sports talk radio. I mean, you didn't even try and establish the run. And
they couldn't because they got down so early. I mean, bad so early. It was 16-0 at halftime, and by the end of the third quarter, you're looking at 25-0. They had to. It was 16-9, and then the second half they just couldn't get going. Yeah,
but they
never could get it going.
It was it wasn't just last night. Obviously, it's been 6 or 7 weeks now from the first half of the season. The first the first half.
I'd say about the first 9 games. The first 9 games, I think.
They established a identity on offense, right? They established their line. They pushed people around. They were going north and south. I think DeAndre Swift might have had 2 or 3 160-yard games. I mean, they were just pushing the ball. And that allowed Jalen to not have to do too much. Well, I don't know what happened. I'm not smart enough. I'm not a football, I don't know what happened, but
that's the
that
thing.
took-
Like, I think you're nailing it. You can't point to one thing on this
That's what I
team and
mean.
say this went bad. The whole goddamn thing went bad at the same time. The
Don,
defense suddenly couldn't get a play. The
it's the
offense
cra-
couldn't throw the
oh.
ball. It was
It's the-
everything at once.
I swear to God, it is the craziest, most bizarre thing I have ever seen. I mean, there was players last night, Bradbury, who all these guys, they were running into each other.
Yes.
They were not able to tackle. They were missing assignments. They didn't know where to cover. I mean, you're in the NFL. You by accident have to know who to cover on a
Just
play.
by pure
Right.
coincidence, you should
By
see the guy
accident.
coming your way. Like
I can't
Crazy.
even. I don't even know what to say. I don't even know what to say. It was so bad that I would cut every player on the team other than AJ Brown and Jalen Hurts.
this.
Even Devontae Smith.
No, well, not him.
Yeah.
I'm being sarcastic.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I don't know how it went so bad. I mean, we were just trying to figure it out, talking to buddies of mine, listening on the radio today for a couple hours. It's just one of those things where people want to say, okay, Coach Sirianni, should he get another year? And listen, here there's a pro and there's a con. Obviously, both of you guys know this. In the last 3 years, he's been in the playoffs. They took him to the Super Bowl. They almost, great. However, we talk about this all the time with teams and coaches. And I don't know this for a fact, but I'm just making light of it. Has he lost that locker room after what they've gone through in the last 7
That's
weeks?
what looked like last night. That's
Yeah,
what it looked like
I
last
mean,
night.
That to me tells me what
I
I
swear.
need to know is when, all right, listen, losing's one thing. Teams lose, right? Teams lose. I mean, teams lose. It's the NFL. It's basketball. It's baseball. Whatever. Teams lose, but you can see when a team just loses. Like I'll give you a perfect example. All right, the Pittsburgh Steelers lost, but they kept fighting.
That's a
They were
sore
tackling.
subject. I can't wait to talk about that. Because
Well,
the most
no,
exciting
I
thing
didn't mean
that
to
game
kind
was
of
after
go
the
into
game.
that, but what I'm saying is that to me is what makes Tomlin such a good coach. He doesn't have that much talent on that team. Pittsburgh's not but they fought.
They battled
tackled.
for him.
They punched back. They said, you know what? I'm still going to punch you. Well, the Eagles didn't do any of that last night, and I think that's what's the worst about it is when you say, and I don't usually call for people to get fired. I don't like doing that. But when you see a team not punch back and just mope and beat each other up on the sidelines, that to me is a telltale sign that the coach has lost that room, that team, and unfortunately, in my opinion, it's time to go.
When you had the announcers making comment about that last night.
Hey,
That's
Ron,
a
you might,
telltale. That's a
you might want to
telltale.
check your
Yep.
blinds, buddy.
Oh,
Don't
shit.
check your blinds.
Yeah, I thought his house was on fire.
Yeah, I was like, what is happening in the
I know.
background? The sun is setting. I was like, oh shit. The
Call
Holy
911.
Ghost has entered his house.
That's awesome.
My man had it all lit up, and I was like, oh,
oh, shit.
shit.
I'm looking over. I'm like, Ron, is your house on fire? And
Like,
It was,
I'll tell you what, that's a great point, though, that you guys just brought up. Don't think
Holy
that
Ghost?
for 1 second.
the Holy
Hey, don't
Ghost
think.
could have saved him.
Hey, don't think for 1 second that Jeffrey Lurie and Howie Roseman, especially Lurie, didn't hear what the announcers are saying on national TV.
Well, I just
He's
want to
quick-
say this. Go ahead.
Yeah, and he's quicker to fire somebody than Jones is. I mean-
yeah, he's pretty methodical. You know what? Though he's quicker. I mean, I wasn't expecting it today. I'm not expecting it tomorrow. He's sort of methodical. I think if it's going to be done, it's going to be done. But to be honest with you, I think the whole staff should go. But I don't think he's going to fire Sirianni.
Here's
Yeah.
the thing before we move on. I feel like there's got to be some major changes inside. The coordinators did not work out. The defense and the offense fell apart.
No.
That's all I want to say. I don't think you fired him yet, but we got to get to the next game. We're
Yeah,
already 20
absolutely.
minutes in here.
Yeah.
This we talked about this to start the show. This weekend sucked if you were a football fan. It was terrible. It was awful if you were a football fan. There were no games worth watching after halftime, to be quite honest. Like, you could flip it back every 10 minutes and nothing had changed.
Wait a minute. Hold on. I
Wait.
beg to differ.
There's one.
Yeah.
I just said there's
Okay.
one. I'm not going to get to it yet.
All right.
I'm going to save that for the end. But no, for the majority, 5 out of was it 5 out of 6? I want to say there was 6 games this weekend, right? Yeah, there was 2 each day. 5 out of the 6 games were complete whitewashes. The Cleveland-Houston game had to be the weirdest start I've ever seen to a football game, because they were firing back and forth, and then all of a sudden,
Bam.
Joe Flacco showed up. Flacco showed up, turned into Joe Flacco. The freaking carriage turned into a pumpkin.
Yep.
You know, midnight hit. CJ Stroud is the man. That dude was, I mean, he throws a beautiful deep ball. I'm going to enjoy watching the Texans this weekend.
Big time.
That you can, if you are the Baltimore Ravens right now, you cannot look at this team and go, we should have no problem. They are a problem. Their defense was getting after Joe. They were shutting. I mean, they were just all over him, man. They couldn't run the ball for shit. I love the Houston Texans right now. That is a team I'm going to openly pull for the rest of the playoffs. The CJ Stroud kid, I love. I love the head coach, Stefanski. I know I think he's the coach of the year. I really do. But you saw what they are right now. They had a 4th-string quarterback in the game, and all of his coaching got him this far. He just couldn't coach them past this point, in my opinion. There was nothing he could do to prevent this from happening. Nothing.
Who's the quarterback next year for Cleveland? Watson?
Oh, no, it has to be Watts. They're tied to him
Yeah.
too much. It's way
Yeah.
too much money. All that money is guaranteed. Like, it's
Yeah.
$50 million, I think, for the next 4 years he's guaranteed a year.
Oh,
There
my
is
God.
his salary cap is not a thing. Like, that cannot happen.
Yeah.
You just got to hope he reverts to form, and I don't mean form by getting massage parlor treatments. I mean the form to where he's throwing the ball down the field and juking and jiving and making some special plays. Because there's one thing I did learn this year about the damn Browns. Amari Cooper is alive and well in that offense. He just needed somebody to chuck the ball down the field to him, because suddenly that dude looked alive again. But in typical Amari Cooper fashion, when it matters the most, he gets hurt and he can't barely play. That guy's a walking late game injury come week 15. You can just bank on it. They're going to have to monitor his workload. They've got to get some weapons in Cleveland. I look forward to seeing what they do in the draft.
Yeah.
I think they lost 2 of their starting 5 offensive linemen, if I'm not mistaken, for the year. I'm super impressed with Houston. Tip my cap.
so am I.
I picked them. I didn't think they'd blow out the Cleveland Browns in that defense, because that defense is vaunted this year. I think it just finally wore them out, guys. Ron, what did you think about, overall?
Overall, I think Houston came to play. They were well coached. Flacco turned into Flacco. The little magic quarterback dust wore off on him, and he turned into Joe Flacco. And I kept on saying it's going to happen. It's going to happen. Everybody's saying, no, you don't know Joe Flacco. This is playoff Joe. Well, playoff Joe did not show up, man. Not this time.
We know Joe Flacco. We know Joe Flacco.
Yeah.
We know exactly.
Yeah, I definitely think what happened was the game got out of hand, and Joe Flacco had to do more than he could.
Yeah.
And he just wasn't. He could manage the game, and he could have kept it close, and did that. But once Houston got out to that big lead, and you know what, I was impressed with Houston. They could stretch the field, and that is such a big thing when Nico Collins can take the top off of the defense, and you have that ability to do that. And then you could just run the ball with Singletary, and CJ Stroud has time. I mean, I tell you, I was so impressed with watching that Houston team. Just the plays that were being called, the play action, like I said, they were able to stretch the field with different guys. Man, there is a lot to really like about that Texans team.
And
There
they
really
were
is.
missing their best wide receiver, Tank Dell.
I know.
Yeah,
I think Nico Collins is their best receiver. I think
Okay.
Tank is their best deep threat.
I'll tell
Okay.
you what. So I'm sitting there watching the game, and I swear to God, I didn't know that Derek Barnett played for the Houston Texans, He was with the Eagles for years. I didn't know he was on the Houston Texans.
You know what? You know what's funny about that? Houston fans didn't know he was on the Houston Texans until that game. They're like, wait a minute, who the hell is that guy?
I'm like, wait a minute, is that the same? I'm like, holy shit, it's the same guy.
Again, I'll just close it out on this. Tip my hat to him.
Yeah.
The part that impressed me the most was that Stroud can move in the pocket and buy time without panicking, and taking off. He's looking down. That throw to the tight end when he stepped just to the right and just dropped a dime on the guy.
I tell you what, I mean, his arm angle and the way he throws, he's strong. He's a
big kid, dude. He's a big man.
I tell you what, I'm going to say this now. I would love to see, and I don't know if it's going to happen, I would love to see Houston in the Super Bowl. That would be awesome. Just awesome. It really would be.
Well, if you want to see them in the Super Bowl, I got news for you. They got to beat them Chiefs. And everybody's trying to write the Chiefs off.
Well,
and everybody's trying to throw,
let's talk about this game.
Everybody's trying to throw dirt on the Chiefs. They methodically wear you down on offense. I don't care what anybody says. I've been saying it for weeks, have I not? Rashee Rice was coming. He was coming. He was going to be impactful come the playoffs.
Yep.
I've been saying it, and everybody's like, no, he's okay. They're just playing bad teams. Ricky, you are pounding that pen, buddy. Everybody's been saying it. The part about this game that sort of caught me off guard, Travis Kelce dropped a couple of big plays in this game. Like, he dropped a couple of really key balls. Now, he still played well. Don't get me wrong, he still played well. But when I was watching this, dude, the fish were frozen. They looked like they wanted no part of this weather. They were looking for the nearest truck to get back on and get the hell out of town. They held Tyreek Hill in check for the most part, saved the one touchdown. But after that, man, look, you can say whatever you want. If you're going to beat Kansas City, your defense is going to have to play better than their defense. And right now, Kansas City's defense is playing the best football in the NFL, including the San Francisco 49ers, including them. Oh, and by the way, quietly, while all this shit's going on, Rashee Rice is emerging as the number one target for the team. They're also finding their ground game. They're suddenly able to run the football. So I can't wait to watch the game this weekend when they go into Buffalo, because that's going to be the show. I think that's the AFC Championship game, in my opinion. I really
agree with that.
I agree with that.
Yeah,
I agree.
I think.
Now, I know Baltimore fans are going to hate me, but look, let's face it. Baltimore is a very good team, but they are one team. It's one guy. It's John Elway and the Broncos in the 80s is what the Ravens are today. It's Lamar Jackson and a bunch of dudes that are just sort of running around. That's what they are. They go how Lamar goes.
You're right. And I'm going to say this now, and maybe we'll talk about it later, but I'll just say it now. I think the one big upset of this weekend, I think the Houston Texans upset the Baltimore Ravens.
Damn, that's a shot.
I really do. I really
agree.
do. I really do.
It's scary to think about, because when I look back, because Lamar had an MVP season. I've stood on that podium for 6-7 weeks yelling it. But when I take a step back, man, that offense they might have their tight end back. Like, that's a key. They might have him back for this game. So that would be
Andrews?
a big.
Andrews will be back. He should be playing this week.
They're saying he might be back.
Yeah.
I don't know where he's at health-wise, but if he's coming back,
that's the concern. That's the concern.
But look, I'm not taking nothing away from Baltimore. They had the MVP. But like you said, other than him on offense, who scares you? Odell
Flowers.
Flowers. He's like a possession receiver. You know what I mean?
No, he's a deep threat. He really has got speed. The problem is that after him, you can double him. Safety help on him whole game. That he's out of the equation now. Like, that's the issue that you get with him. You can manage that guy. That's my concern. Look, Kansas City's defense is a freaking fire plug, man.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you, it comes down to coaching. And last year in the Super Bowl, in the second half, they're Andy Reid, and I mentioned this before, Eric Bieniemy, and what's his name?
McDermott. Spagnuolo.
Thank you. They showed how good of a coaches they are. They outcoached the Philadelphia Eagles coaching staff again, and they won the Super Bowl because they made halftime adjustments.
That's what won the game. That's what won the game.
But it shows you how good of a coach when it comes crunch time. So you guys are talking about Mike McCarthy, and we're talking about these other coaches. What separates Andy Reid and coaches like that is they can coach when it means the most. Now, right? And the moment
his
doesn't get
halftime
too
adjustments
big.
are next level. They're just he
absolutely.
can coach on the fly like no one
Yeah.
I've ever seen in my life.
But he also does in-game adjustments too.
Yes, that's the
that's the key right there.
Yeah.
That is the key.
It's 100% the key, and there's a lot of coaches who are not very good at that. And I don't want to. I know we already talked about it. I'm just going to mention his friggin' name one last time. Who's not good at it is the Eagles coach, Sirianni. He sucks at in-game adjustments.
Look, I don't know much, but Sean Payton didn't exactly set the world on fire. No touchdowns in the third quarter. So, I mean, there's something to be said there.
I'm not saying that just because he's bad at it today, next year or 5 years from now, he won't be better. But right now, when you look at a coach like Andy Reid, you have to say, man, I like Kansas City's chances because they're well coached.
Right now they're scaring me because they're got their mojo back. They've got a wide receiver that can scare you. He's starting to figure out this next level. I was not surprised that the Chiefs won. I was surprised that they bullied the Miami Dolphins all over the field. Ron, did you see anything else? Is there anything we haven't talked about here?
I just want to harp on Pacheco. Pacheco, man, he runs with a purpose. He runs with a damn purpose. Period. And it's hard to take him down.
Go
ahead, say it.
You know what he doesn't run with? He doesn't run with any goddamn speed. That's for sure.
No, no, he doesn't. But he runs with purpose.
He does, but he ain't going nowhere. He ain't going nowhere. But he's making great time.
I'll tell you what. There was a lot of pretty good performances this past weekend. I'm not saying great performances, but my game ball goes to Josh Allen, who I thought had the best weekend of everybody.
Let's talk about it because I saw something today. Look, I want to get into this. There's a lot to unpack here with this Pittsburgh game. The most interesting aspect of this game happened after the game went off the air and they had the press conference with Mike Tomlin.
Yep.
But Josh Allen, dude.
Yeah. His coming out party. His coming out party. I think. Listen, he's been snubbed. Well, the last couple of years they've lost to Kansas City. They've lost to Cincinnati. I think this is their year. I think
the biggest thing that's happened for this team is the offensive coordinator has gotten Josh Allen dialed back into trusting the system that he is operating in, to trust his reads and to fire the football. He was shooting out piss missiles in this game to some of these guys.
He was
just
throwing
rockets across the middle.
He was throwing laser beams. I can't believe that the tight ends caught him. He was throwing them so fast.
Yeah.
There was one point in the game where the ropes he was throwing, the other part that got me in this that really threw me for a whole loop was the run that he had. And I saw some talking head on ESPN say, well, he did a fake slide. He did not do a fake slide. I watched it 3 times today to make sure I didn't miss tonight. I didn't miss it. He juked the DB out of his shorts and then took off for the end zone. They just juked the whole secondary and was gone. They're like, well, he did the fake slide. He didn't do a fake slide, guys. He juked the guy and took off. If you're 6'5", 6'6", you are not going to do a fake slide.
No.
You're going to get your ass handed to you with that size.
Yeah.
He literally stopped and then ran again.
Yeah.
How's that a slide? How's that a fake slide? Oh, man.
And Ricky, you mentioned it, and I'll say it now. I mean, I give Pittsburgh credit, man. They could have really gotten their ass whooped. They kept it close there for a little while, but eventually you just saw the horses just aren't there.
No.
They've got to rebuild this entire offense. And without their number one pass rusher, it's a different defense altogether. And they're getting old up front, guys. I mean, Hayward's not young anymore.
No. And look, listen, I'm sorry, but Pittsburgh needs a quarterback. They do not have a quarterback. They need Don, they need to revamp the whole thing on offense. Quarterback, OC, line, start with that. I don't think Pickett is. I've never really liked him. I think Rudolph he's cute, but he's like Dasher and Dancer and Prancer. He's I don't think he's going to take them anywhere.
Ron,
No,
did
it's
you
not.
see their star receiver after the game was criticizing the refs, saying it was ridiculous? I mean, dude,
Yeah.
get over yourself. Nothing,
Yeah.
He
nothing
needs-
happened this game.
No, he needs to be quiet. Say, I mean, yeah, just needs
Yeah,
to
he
be quiet.
I mean, he had that huge fumble, and that's what that's what killed Pittsburgh. They had those 2 huge turnovers, and I think they scored twice on turnovers, and that was really the difference in the game there. They should have had, I don't know if you guys saw that, but they should have had 3. Remember when?
Yeah, because they called it. They said he didn't fumble, and he damn sure
Remember
fumbled
when-
that ball.
Yeah,
He
remember when the
fumbled that
tight
ball.
end? Yeah, he
Yeah.
fumbled the ball.
The most,
So,
Now-
the most
but-
interesting thing to me about this, though, was after the game was over with. I didn't realize this. Mike
Yeah.
Tomlin has 1 year left
Yeah.
on his coaching
Yep.
contract in
Yeah.
Pittsburgh.
Yep.
They asked him about having 1 year left and what he was going to do about it, and he just walked off the stage. Just
So,
left. And you,
I saw
yeah,
I saw news. He's coming back to Pittsburgh next year.
Yeah.
well, he
He's
has
coming
1
back
more
next-
year left. He has
Yeah.
a year left. So,
Yeah.
but here's my thing. That will be either 17 or 18 years coaching with the same team.
18.
Eventually you have to move on, right? Like eventually you need to go in a different direction. This offense that we're seeing has been the same stagnant offense now for several years. Even
Yeah.
under Big Ben, the last 2 or 3 years he was there, the offense was dead.
Yeah.
Nothing is changing on the offense. The defense is still a defensive team. Sometimes you just need change for the sake of change. I don't know that it's going to hurt Mike Tomlin to go sit up in a studio somewhere for a year, talk his game, get his face out there. I would love to hear what this guy has to say. Somebody said something about the guys on Fox Kickoff Sunday. I would love to see half that show turn over their staff, to be quite honest, because I'm tired of seeing the same old talking heads every year. I'd like to see somebody who has recently played or coached in the game. Jimmy Johnson hasn't coached since the 90s, right? Terry Bradshaw was done in the 80s. Can we do something different on that show? Tomlin would be a great idea. Tom Brady works for Fox. Why is he not on there on Sundays? Like, what the hell are they doing with these guys that they have under contract? That show is killing me in the morning. I can't watch it anymore. The same old ass lame jokes every year from Terry. I like Terry. He seems like a good guy. I don't need him for another 10 years. He's been there for 20 goddamn years. I've had enough of Terry Bradshaw. Give
Are you
me
done?
something else. I'm done.
Can I say something about the Steelers?
Fine.
Are you sure? It's all out, brother. The narrative about Pickett, I guess on the opposite fence of that. I think he hasn't had the OC to get him to where he needs to be, because he's shown flashes. They can be a good quarterback. Maybe not great, but a good quarterback. A good quarterback is all they really need right now to get them over the hump.
All right.
Get a good OC out there, because the
Let
ones
me
they've
ask
had
you
have been shit.
Let me ask you then. What about that quarterback makes you say he's good? His arm strength is below average. His mobility is probably average. He's not overly large, like he's not Big Ben. I don't see anything about his game that says anything other than 10-year backup. That's what I see in him. And if I was the Steelers, I would do everything in my power to get into the top 3 picks and get myself a quarterback this year. I would trade the house right now. That's what I would do.
Then they trade a house, get a good quarterback, but they have shitty OC. How's that going to help?
Well, I think look, I'm not going to be surprised if Mike Tomlin and the Steelers part ways. I'm really not. Like, no one wants to be a lame duck coach going into that last year. Nobody wants that position. Because it's just not a good look for anybody involved. It's not a good look for the coach. It's not a good look for the ownership group. None of this looks good moving forward. If you're not going to re-sign him and you're going to go a separate direction, do it before the season starts. Like, do it now. Like, what's the point of bringing him back for 1 year if in your mind you already think you're going in a different direction, right?
I'll be honest. I think fully it'll be up to Tomlin. I think he'll let Pittsburgh know if he's going to walk or not. And I think if he tells them he would like to continue coaching, I think they'll give him an extension for, let's say, I don't know, 2, 3, 4 years or something like that. But I think it's going to be up to him. I don't think Pittsburgh's going to make it. I think it's going to be up to him, because I think it's very important to the ownership in Pittsburgh to Uh,
Have
to-
continuity.
yeah, I think
They
that's very
hate
important
change.
to them.
They hate change.
They
in
hate
Pittsburgh,
change.
guys.
They love the Rooney Rule effect, right? Like, you know what I mean? That's very important to them. And I mean, and I don't even want to say that. I think Tomlin's a very good coach. I don't care about the Rooney Rule. But-
What's the statistic on the Steelers? Like for the past 60 years, they've had 3 coaches.
Well,
Yeah.
think about it. They had
Chuck
Chuck
Noll.
Noll, Bill
Chuck
Cowher.
Noll. Bill Cowher, and now him, Mike Tomlin.
Right.
Yep.
I mean,
I think the
so-
last 60 years they've had 3 coaches. So they
Right, there's-
hate changing coaches.
Right.
They hate doing that.
So
When they hire you, they believe in you. But again,
Yeah.
17, 18 years, that's a long damn time, man.
Yeah, I agree. Agree a little bit.
Oh yeah,
I mean-
you know what? I definitely agree. I think that there definitely comes a time when it's time to move on. Doesn't mean Tomlin's a bad coach. It doesn't mean any of that. It just sometimes means it's time to move on and get a new voice in there.
Well, speaking of time to move on, it's time for the Rams to go home. This was the best game of the weekend. I thought they'd pull this off. I said one thing going into this game. I said Matthew Stafford would throw all over that awful secondary, and he did just that. The Lions secondary was doo-doo. The problem was that Stafford loves to tomahawk chop the shit out of anybody coming up the middle of the defense. He has done this his whole career. His throwing motion is, yeah, I love that helmet. Come get this helmet. Every God-blessed game he does this. I don't get this. It happens every damn game. And they always show us like, oh, he's got a busted index finger. No shit. He's out there like, freaking God, get some. I'm the Karate Kid. I don't get it. The Rams stopped trying to run the ball. I thought the Lions, I thought the Rams were going to win it late. Ron, this
I
had
did
to be
too.
a heartbreaker. I don't want to get into
I
it
was
too
hoping.
much. I'm going to give you the floor.
I was
Go
hoping
ahead,
they
go
won.
ahead, Rick.
No,
Yeah,
go,
go,
Ron,
Rick.
go ahead, Ron. No, go ahead.
This is the sad truth about the whole game. Is they scored 21 points in the first half. They let them score 21 points. Those points came in the red zone, correct?
Yeah.
What happened to the Ram? Well, hey, Stafford did throw the ball down field, but except for what? In the red zone. They got away
Yes.
from the freaking. They got away from the run. The very first possession, when they did that, I was like, "Oh crap! Here we go again. Here we go again." What's Larry saying?
He said he's got the kung fu grip like the GI Joe.
Yeah. And then I just want to add something about the Rams fan base right now. They need to sit down and shut the hell up. Right
What are they
now.
complaining about? Like this team
Oh my-
overachieved so much. It's insane.
no.
They went way over the
Oh,
top. I
let
didn't
me
think they're
tell
making
you-
the playoffs this year.
Let me tell you what
I-
they're complaining about. The missed calls. The missed
Oh,
calls.
come on, dude.
Oh my God, it's horrendous. I've gotten I've pissed some people off, but a lot of these content creators have been. I've been watching football longer than some of these content creators have been off their mommy's tits. So
Missed calls
it's just-
happen and bad calls happen. It's
Right.
part of the game. The
It's-
bottom
it's-
line is they had the ball late and didn't make the play to win it.
no,
That's all.
they missed.
That's it.
They were in the red zone
That's it.
3 times and kicked 3 field goals. You add those 12 points onto the score, and they win the damn game. You
Yeah.
And
can't.
it's not even close.
No.
Look, I think at the beginning of the year we would all agree. I don't even think we thought the Rams would have 5 wins.
No, I did. I figured 8 and 9. Maybe
I had them about
7th and
5 or
then-
6 wins. I had them about
Yeah.
5 or 6. I
look,
did.
I'm just making a point. I don't think anyone
Yeah.
thought they were going to
No,
get into the playoffs. And
They were a year
I-
out of schedule.
yeah, and they really impressed me. I mean, they like you said, they were definitely an overachieving team, and they came within a point of beating the number 1 seed. I mean, that's
Number 2 seed. Number 2
well,
seed.
number 2 seed.
No,
They-
but
yeah,
yeah,
number 2.
yeah. I mean, that's.
No,
They
they're
had-
number 3, right? They're number 3. Right?
Stafford.
They're 3.
I'll tell you what, he's a tough cookie. That kid, Stafford. He's tough, man.
As long as he quits freaking karate chopping guys, he's fine. Mike,
He's
he just
tough.
can't help it, dude.
And he makes. I'll tell you what, he makes some funky throws, man, and he whizzes them in
Oh,
there
that one
sideways.
sidearm whip.
I don't know how he
was
does it.
Incredible.
I don't know
Like
how
he
he
just
does it.
said,
It was
looked like a
crazy.
discus.
It was crazy how him and Goff were just throwing to the wide receivers in these tight spots that were, and the receivers were covers. Like me and my best friend Greg, he played NFL, so it's different watching a game like with him and hearing his like input and stuff.
Yeah.
But he was like, my God, him and Goff both. But the Rams have deficiencies and they showed up. You have Michael Hulk, number 97, trying to cover Laporta in end zone. That's just a recipe for disaster. They have a good young edge rusher. They have a good young defensive tackle, but they need another good edge rusher. So hey,
look. Well, the thing is about the Rams this year,
my hat's off to Detroit. They're the team I picked to go to the Super Bowl, so they played a good game.
You know what the Rams have this year, Ron, that they haven't had in a long time?
Balls.
They got draft picks. They can actually fill these holes.
Oh yeah,
this year. Having to go to free agency.
And
they've got draft picks.
I think they have like $61 million in salary cap to spend.
They will be able to make some moves. They will be able to draft some players. I look forward to seeing where the Rams go from here. Yeah. I'm also looking forward to the division round next week. I'm going to take Baltimore over Houston. I'm going to take San Fran over Green Bay, Detroit over Tampa, and I'm taking Kansas City over Buffalo.
I'm going to go Buffalo over KC. I'm going to go Houston over Baltimore. I like San Fran over Tampa Bay. And who am I leaving out here?
Detroit and
Detroit,
Green Bay, San Francisco.
Green Bay, San Fran. I'm taking San Fran. Okay. I'm taking the Texans. Lions play who? Sorry.
Tampa.
I like the Lions.
Okay.
All right. I like Houston, KC, San Fran, and Detroit.
Okay. So we got a little bit of a selection here. There's been a couple of things I want to talk about here before we go. That's some coaching moves that happened since we were on here last. The offensive coordinator for the Saints got fired today, which was I'm not saying that it shouldn't have happened. He did not have a year that you could really say was good. I mean, Derek Carr was coming on at the end, but it was too little too late. So I think that's a good move for them to get somebody. Maybe you get somebody that Carr's more comfortable with. You know what I mean?
Like Gruden.
Jesus, no. Anybody but Gruden. And the other part was Belichick he left since we talked last. And reportedly there is a rumor going around that he and McDaniels are a combo deal no matter where he goes, that McDaniels is coming with them. The other part was, Atlanta is apparently the front runner to hire him right now. Atlanta is the front runner. Dallas has not come open yet, which is an interesting turn of events. Like, that's real interesting to me. I don't know why Bill Belichick is suddenly a hot commodity, but the report is he's looking for teams that have talent but have underachieved. Right. When I look at Atlanta, that quarterback situation is trash. There is nothing about that quarterback situation, if I'm Bill Belichick, that entices me to go there. If Dallas becomes open, maybe you've got a shot there. You've got a window that's already created. I see you shaking your head, but I'm serious, man. Like, look, Jerry Jones does not like unknown commodities. He never has.
I'm not arguing with that. I just don't. I think with their personalities, I don't think it'll work because Belichick likes control. He likes to do things that he wants to do. I don't think he wants to butt heads with a guy like Jerry
I can
Jones.
tell you this much. Pretty much every GM has told Belichick he will not be the GM wherever he goes. There will be a GM in place. He will have some say in personnel, but he will not be running the ship. And
I'll tell you one place.
If he takes a mindset like Bill Parcells, it'll never work out because Bill Parcells hated that shit with Jerry Jones. They butted heads over that.
That's why
it
didn't work. Yeah, absolutely.
So I'm curious to see where that goes. Also, Harbaugh is going to interview first in the Los Angeles Chargers. That fit seems to make all the sense in the world to me, and I'm going to tell you why. There was one thing Pete Carroll had coming into the NFL when he went on those first 3 or 4 years where he was just crushing the league. He went to like 2 Super Bowls in 3 or 4 years? Like, he was crushing the league. You know what he knew that no one else did? He knew personally all these top draft picks that were coming out. Those were the same kids he was trying to recruit. He knew who they were. He knew their backstories. He knew who the good kids were. He knew who the good players were. The last several years, he has not hit nearly as many home runs on his drafts. He has floundered quite a bit in that department. Harbaugh coming in is going to know all the players coming in. He doesn't have to worry about a quarterback. He's got one. He knows that and they can get cap space fast in Los Angeles. A lot of people don't realize that because they're so far on the cap. They cut 4 players that have no guaranteed money this year, no contract, no dead money, and they're on their way. 2 of them are wide receivers, and they drafted that kid in the first round last year. It would make sense for them right now to take another number 1 receiver. And I'm looking at the kid from Washington. That's who I would be taking. Because Harbaugh couldn't cover him in college. God knows he'd like to have him in the NFL if he comes.
The mock drafts have Neighbors going to San Diego.
See, I like Neighbors. I think Azu's a better player, quite honestly. I think he's going. I think Neighbors is nice.
I think he's be gone before San Diego picks.
I think they picked number 5.
Yeah, I think Ozani is
5 or 6. It might be the Giants at 5.
Yeah, but I think they have him going the first 4 picks.
Okay. Well, he's not going above Harrison, that's for sure.
No.
So
I'll tell you what, don't be surprised if Harbaugh comes out and he goes to Washington.
That's another spot that I keep watching. I really do. Number 2 overall pick. Wouldn't take much, I don't think, to talk the Bears out of that number 1 spot. Here's a 3rd round next year, or 3rd round this year to 2nd round next year. We're just going to swap 2 spots. Let's do this.
Yeah. I think for him, he'll like being on the East Coast. He'll be near his brother. And, Washington does have some pieces. I think that's a really good fit for him.
Well, they got their GM in place now, so that's kind of a concern because he's got to have some front office say. I can tell you that right now. I know he's going to want front office say.
Now, I don't know what Washington is going to do about their quarterback situation. I don't think Hal is terrible, but it's hard to tell at this point because the offensive line has been so hard. So if they could start building from that interior out, maybe Hal could be better than he's been. But
here's my question. You're looking at the draft right now. The top 3 quarterbacks in this draft are better than what they have now.
Okay, and I'm not going to, and again, I'm not going to argue that. You're 100% right. However, are the top 3 quarterbacks in the draft better than what they have now with the offensive line that Washington has?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Yes, they are. I think Washington can fix an offensive line through free agency, quite frankly. And they've got like $80 million in cap.
I don't think you can. I don't think you can patchwork it like that because it hasn't worked in the past.
Well, I'm not saying patchwork it. I'm saying get a piece. I'm going to get my right guard in free agency and a center. I can get 2 parts and then draft a left tackle in the 2nd or 4th round.
So,
look what the damn Rams did. The Rams literally patchworked that entire offensive line, and the coach said, watch this. I'm going to make this incredible. Because Ron told me at the beginning of the year, the left tackle is going to be fine. I was like, man, I got questions about that left tackle. This is an unknown commodity. Son of a bitch, and he didn't work out.
It just seems, I guess what I'm saying is, and I get your point. You're saying take your franchise quarterback and then build from there.
Yes, absolutely, every time.
And I'm not saying no to that. I'm just saying that in Washington's particular case, it just seems like every year for the last umpteen years, they've had the same issue with the offensive line. And I think maybe they should put that as their focus, especially if there's a highly talented kid there in the 1st round.
Ron, is there anything else that's got your radar, man? Anything else piquing your interest?
Yeah, what we discussed earlier about if Antonio Pierce gets hired as Rich, I think Pierce
this
and
is
Bailey,
still going on.
Yeah, I think Pierce and Bailey will be the GM, that he'll be the coach. The story came out is that they want to hook up Cliff Kingsbury.
Yeah.
Oh shit. Okay.
Yeah, as OC. Now, if they do that, look for the Raiders to move up the number 1 draft pick and pick Caleb Williams, because Caleb Williams has been vocal about not wanting to go into Chicago.
I don't really think he has to worry about that now because Chicago is going to shoot themselves right in the foot and trade that pick away, and they're going to have like the top 3 pick next year to where they can't get the future quarterback that they need, and it's just going to be the same shit over and over again. It has been with the Bears forever. I mean, this is what they do. This is what they do.
Yeah, okay.
Here's the number 1 pick. One of the talent right here. You got a talented quarterback, can do it all. Yeah, we're going to trade back. I like Fields. The guy that has shown very little.
Yeah, but here's the but listen, here's the problem with Chicago. They need so many pieces. I think it would be a waste to draft Williams at number 1 because they're 5, 6, 7 years away. And by the time he's ready for that offense and that team, he's going to be 5 years into his career. I think Chicago
they have 2 top 10 picks. They can fix a lot of holes fast.
It sounds
and
easy,
I'm not so sold on the fact that the entire reason the Bears offense isn't struggling is because of Fields. I'm not that might be why they're struggling so mightily. They have weapons on that team. They drafted offensive linemen. I'm not a Chicago guy, but here's what I don't understand. I don't think it's Fields. I think it's the coaching. I think they need to get rid of their coaching. I mean, you're making my point over and over again. I'd get rid of the coach, the GM, and the quarterback.
I would look. I've been saying this all year. I know we disagree. I would build my team around Justin Fields.
And I would call you a poverty franchise.
Okay. We will agree.
I got you, Ricky. I got you.
Thank you, brother.
Okay, keep it up.
Thank you.
He's great at fantasy football. He's not real football. I am not going this way. He's a fantasy football stud.
Say Justin Fields is your favorite player. Say it, Don.
Yeah, no,
say it.
Hell no. I got nothing. Hey, we're out of here. You guys got anything else?
No, gentlemen. No. Thank you.
Thanks for watching, everybody. Like, subscribe. Appreciate it.
Bye.